The architectural scene design of Septimont is a new peak in the scene design of the Wuthering Waves. In terms of scale, design difficulty, and production difficulty, far surpassing the Wuthering Waves' past content. All the modeling assets of the Septimont are newly made. The amount of work is about 3 to 4 times that of Avenolium. It is absolute cinematic and one of the most ambitious projects in Gacha history. Even under close scrutiny, I still believe Septimont's design is top tier and nearly impossible to replicate. In this video, I will focus on Septimont's design philosophy and urban planning, as well as the broader experience it delivers. Let's briefly analyze how wonderful the design of the Septimont is. First, let me clarify. So, what architectural style do you think Septimont represents? The name Septimont is inspired by the 7 hills on which ancient Rome was originally founded. So the Septimont must be in the Roman style, right? As a specialist in Western architecture, I can tell you with certainty that the architecture of the Septimont is not Roman at all. Buildings that truly follow Roman design make up less than 10% of the city. Most of the building are inspired by Roman arches, Corinthian columns, and other classical motifs that have been reinterpreted and rebuilt. Modern architecture is very different from that of ancient Rome. In academic terms, the architecture of ancient Greece and Rome is often grouped under classical architecture. That typically refers to the Roman 5-order column system used in constructing temples and public buildings, including Doric, Ionic, Corinthian, Tuscan, and composite styles. Let's take the Roman Colosseum as an example. As we all know, the 3-layer external columns of the Colosseum from bottom to top are Doric, Ionic, Corinthian. It is one of the most classic ancient Roman classical buildings. But when it comes to the core buildings of Septimont, those original structural elements are absent. Even the parts that seem like faithful restorations are only loosely based and used sparingly. Let's take a look at the core Colosseum of the Septimont. Besides the arena and the surrounding area is full of spectator seats, it is obvious that it is very different from the Roman one. The design of the Septimont is free from simple imitation of real-world architecture. That makes sense when you consider the setting of Wuthering Waves. Kuro certainly would not choose the ancient Roman architecture for a sci-fi game world. After all, Solaris is fundamentally a futuristic civilization. To reflect that, the city must be built with advanced technology and forward-thinking design. There's no reason to look backward to imitate a 2,000-year-old Roman system. Copying classical forms blindly is a step back, not progress. Original classical architecture is quite outdated. A few columns topped with triangles, and maybe the occasional round arch. That's not a system suited for modern urban development. So worrying about how to rebuild classical forms in Mua misses the point entirely. Abandoning rigid Roman references and avoiding this kind of aesthetic regression is actually the smarter path. Now, to understand how grand Septimont really is, we have to look at the design of its city walls. The overall graphic language is dominated by strong straight lines used to construct massive walls and towering structures. Triangles and round arches are added for contrast and support. You'll notice that Septimont is enclosed by 3 incredibly thick, straight fortress walls. This suggests a powerful defensive posture. But if it only showed defense, that would feel a bit passive, maybe even dull. That's why the city wall features sharp triangular protrusions, which give it a strikingly aggressive energy. Standing before these triangles, it feels like they could slice right through you. This heightens the imposing nature of the walls. At the same time, the triangle forms act as a kind of foreshadowing, visually reinforcing the wall's defensive strength. All of this shows how straight lines are used to shape the city's powerful silhouette. Of course, relying only on straight lines would make things too monotonous. That's why you'll find towers placed at the corners and turns of the wall. If you look closely, all of these towers are topped with domes. These domes enrich the architectural language, but they also pose a challenge on such a linear foundation. Too many domes can feel visually disconnected. So the designers of Septimont cleverly integrated those same triangular wall forms into the domes, tying the visual language back together. This not only reinforces the dome's shape, but keeps the straight-line aesthetic of the walls intact. Meanwhile, the triangular elements mirror the triangular walls of the city, forming a visual resonance. This treatment is very detailed. At the top of the city wall, there are many holes. This is necessary for the city wall defense system. Through the hole, in the corresponding vertical space inside the city wall, there is a raised wall pier. This pier is the same as the triangular wall outside, has the defense function of reinforcing the wall and the aesthetic function of dividing the wall. But the difference is that the triangular wall on the outside is more aggressive, is used to resist foreign enemies, while the inner one looks gentler, is for the residents in the city to admire. And what is worth praising is that between these 2 piers is connected to a very beautiful circular arch. It shows that this pier and other structures are aesthetically compatible. To judge whether a building is truly mature, look at how its joints and connections are handled. This kind of treatment can be said to be very mature and excellent. Speaking of the city gates, we must praise the workers who built the Septimont city gate. The construction is massive. Just look at the 3 gates. There are 5 kinds of eagle and griffin-themed statues. Inspired by Lamassu from Mesopotamian culture on both sides of the gate, there are full-body statues of griffins on both sides. In the upper part of the gate, there are decorative statues half embedded in the stone wall. At the layers of the gate, there are 3 statues with different poses, with completely different poses. You know, when it comes to modeling, the hardest part is definitely the statues. First, the construction of statues is very complicated. Secondly, the statue itself is only a complement to the building and have very low efficiency to fill up the space. It is just not worth the effort in most cases. In environment modeling, the industry usually tries to minimize the number of statues, but Kuro clearly went the other way. Just look at this gate, it covered with statues, all striking different poses, with different functions and roles. But their formal language is completely unified and have their own set of operating logic. This is just the gate. The griffin and eagle statues in the top arena are also 6 kinds, not to mention the various reliefs of wings spread out into account. And there are also various human-shaped statues here. I can't even imagine the amount of work. So you can clearly feel that how dedicated the production team is. I think they are not simply trying to complete the work. They are already addicted to art and creation. Let's go back to the production of the gate. The gate is a distinct square arrangement. In terms of structure, it is obviously not the triumphal arch of the Roman period, but instead adopted the perspective door of medieval churches. The perspective door of medieval churches, it uses arches that are nested inside each other. But the approach of Septimont's gate is not. It uses a more generalized, a 45-degree wall. The top decoration of this perspective door should be abstracted from the rose window of Gothic churches. These 2 simplified techniques are quite modern, reflecting the progress of construction technology. The most brilliant part of this city gate design is in its node treatment. It's just amazing. It's seamless. Look at this statue of the rescuer. Is perfectly placed between 2 thick moldings. The use of this statue is very similar to an Egyptian Sphinx statue. Notice that the outer edges of the 2 line angles above and below are protruding. And the lower protrusion is obviously more outward than the upper one. Combined with the 45-degree angle of the gate, this part of the design seems to be a feeling of open wings, which reflects openness and inclusiveness. And you notice that the side of the gate and the city wall, there is a decorative line to strengthen the connection. The decorative line is also connected to another additional connection structure. The transition is very smooth. This refinement of the connection, there are many more in later scenes. It's not just a matter of the amount of work. The designer also needs to realize which structural connections are not smooth, where the transition is needed, and how to make the transition look good. This is a very test of hard skills about structural connection. Let me give another example. Is the high pole floodlight in the arena area behind? Can you notice that? In fact, the top corner of this triangular light area is flattened. If it is not flattened, this sharp angle would directly insert into the triangular wall below. There will be a feeling of a sense of penetration. This operation of cutting the corner is also a way of connecting. It will give people a smoother viewing experience. Let's wrap this up. Septimont isn't just pretty scenery. It's a masterclass in city design. From layout and elevation, to texture, lighting, and sound, every element is carefully considered. It's not just a place, it's a character. It supports the game's tone, adds depth to the lore, and makes every minute spent exploring feel worth it. Design like this isn't easy. It takes vision, discipline, and a lot of iteration. But the results speak for themselves. Septimont sets a new bar for world design in domestic games. It's the kind of environment that invites exploration over and over again. Not because a quest tells you to go there, but because you want to see what's around the next corner. That's the highest praise an open world can get. Let's hope future projects learn from this one. And at the same time, it can greatly adapt to the traffic conditions of the Septimont and meet reasonable needs. The most important thing is that it's really fresh. I guess many people in reality hardly take a cable car in several years. I can really play on this cable car all day. What's more, this cable car is fully automatic. We can wait for the cable car at the station. The experience is very wonderful. It's not like, oh look, our Septimont is so beautiful. Let's add a cable car to show it off. And we specially arranged a line that requires interaction to start. Instead, we are building a real order of this world. Just like the NPCs in this world, players also need to wait, board, ride, and get off. It's a sequence of mundane but relatable real-life actions. In real life, waiting for a bus can feel frustrating, but when it finally arrives, there's a small moment of joy. I'd call that the meaning of waiting for a bus. In the last part of this video, I will talk about the texture of the city. The city texture of Septimont is really handled brilliantly. It's detailed and diverse. As I said before, there are nearly 20 types of statue assets. All the number of modeling assets in Septimont is well above 200, and each asset also includes many materials. It needs to handle mapping, reflection, metal phases, and so on. I can't even imagine the workload. And with so much content, coordinated in the same scene, it's even more difficult. The final effect is so amazing. Kuro really hired a great team. Look at this texture. It's not just a matter of texture mapping. In places like floor tiles and window frames, Septimont offers a surprising variety. Look at this small area. You can see 5 different patterns of floor tiles, and they are not randomly laid. They follow strong principles of visual composition. Look at the design of the window. Rigid straight frames filled with a precise square grid layout. The glass reflects a bold, masculine texture. It feels premium and deliberate. Texture isn't just about looking nice. It tells you something about the building's material. And that in turn gives the architecture internal logic. Take this small bridge, for example. It uses 4 distinct materials. Brickwork across the bridge, red marble for the road surface, and a special outer coating. There's also a black metal section in the center, possibly a kind of Wuthering Waves style tech material. The same construction technology was also used when laying floor tiles in the city. I really admire this attention to material detail. It makes the world feel deeper and the immersion more complete. Now we reach the arena. Just look at how many materials are used here. The texture, the modeling complexity, and all the lighting and reflections. It's incredible. Even the floor of the arena uses an impressive mix of materials. Solid, metallic, tech-inspired surfaces, all laid out in a way that shows how advanced Septimont's construction methods are. Think about it. This is just a floor, and yet it has such rich detail. And the texture of the arena field changes over time. When the sun rises, the white stone reflects the texture of the sun, becoming incredibly sacred and pure. When night falls, at night, glowing neon ribbons take over, and the whole place feels like a scene from cyberpunk. It's breathtaking. Honestly, the design of Septimont is on another level. Truly impressive. I have seen countless architectural designs, but this is the first time one has completely blown me away. The more I look, the more I feel my praise is too pale. Due to time and length limits, I'll cover the detailed building designs in the next video to share with you guys. Here is the prelude. This translation was published with the original creator's permission. Stay tuned for the next video. See you soon.